Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, or good day, depending on where you're catching up with us from, where you're catching up from today. Um, there's something that has been on my mind for a little while. As somebody who is a nutritionist, I should actually know it better. They say that a doctor cannot doctor themselves. So I have heard some of those experiences where it looked a little bit more complicated to doctor myself. So, what am I talking about? Sometimes ago, maybe about 2 weeks, it's coming to 2 weeks on Sunday. I left church. I go to church on Sunday. So, I come back from church. I go back home. And for some reason, I was just so exhausted. So I ended up sleeping. And I was just basically sleeping on the couch. I wasn't really sleeping in like a bed or something like that. And so I had a really long nap because I was obviously very exhausted. And at the bottom of my mind or in my heart or whatever, I just never thought, I didn't think about anything. I just thought about I need to sleep, right? That was the position I was in. And so as I'm sleeping, I wake up later and I'm realizing I'm so sore, like not really sore as such, but swollen is a better word than sore. And I was thinking what really had transpired. So I had my ring on me and I was thinking like I'm just gonna do what I've done before. So if it feels a bit more swelling, I basically go take like water or soap or a lubricant sort of and just like use it and slide it off and I'm good to go. So, like I woke up thinking it's like normal. It's like every day things have been like that. I've had the opportunity of just easily getting it off and voila, we're good to go. But things were a little bit different this time around. So I tried pulling it off. It didn't come out. I spent about an hour or 2 hours just being stubborn, telling myself, Claire, you've got this. You can do this. So you don't have to worry about asking for help. You don't have to think about reaching out. So I researched, I did some looking through YouTube. I looked on Google. I looked on all possibilities of how to remove a stuck ring. And everybody was saying like lubrication, water, soap, name it. I tried all those sorts of things by myself, and I'm just so adamant. I was so super convinced that at this stage I did not need anybody's help. So I was super convinced that I can do this. I've got this. And yeah, there is no way I'm gonna ask anybody for help. So anyway, to cut the long story short, and I can see some of you live with me. Thank you so much for joining. I got a point where I tried to seek for help, and the help was not helping, if that makes sense. So I ended up calling in the UK. You call it's called NHS 111. So it's basically like it's a non-emergency thing. So I called because everybody was saying you can go to the fire station and they will help you with a way forward. I drove my car all the way to the fire station trying to find a way forward, and there was no way forward. And at that stage, I'm gonna show you, my fingers were like sausages. They were like, oh, it was horrible, right? If I do that, you can see like it was all so swollen. It was all so sore. I'm thinking, now you start catastrophizing everything. I'm thinking, what if it continues to swell like this? What if and I'm thinking, okay, Claire, just relax, just rest and don't worry about things. But the more I'm thinking about it, the more I think my blood flow was flowing more harder, working harder. And eventually, I got to a point I called this NHS 111. I was like, I'm in trouble. So they send me to accident and emergency and say, you have to go to accident and emergency. And when you get to there, they will help you. So to cut the long story short, I went to the accident and emergency. As I am arriving there, I just showed my finger and I was like, this is what I showed. If I can make it a bit more bigger. So I just showed them that finger and I was like, look at that. It looks like a sausage. I'm just so sore and swollen. And so when they saw that, they told me, well, wait and we'll try your due and everything. But to like cut the long story short, I keep on cutting it short. They ended up basically what they did was cutting that off my finger. That was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life because they had to use a metal cutter and it's a metal ring. So trying to put that underneath and trying to cut it off was a nightmare. So I came back home and I was thinking, what really happened? Why did I end up having that severe swelling that my fingers were like sausages and I couldn't just get my ring off? And as I was doing a little bit of reflection rather than rumination, I actually realized the day before, it was on a Saturday, I was just so busy that I didn't drink enough. I ate food that it depends on who's cooked in my household. There are some people, don't tell them. If they cook, my goodness, they put in so much salt. So I think I had eaten a very high salt content meal. And then on Sunday, because I went to church, we had an event at church. So I was helping out and volunteering. I was in church very early in the morning. And so normally when I start, the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up is I drink water just to kind of flush things out of my body. I didn't do that. And so because I was just on my feet, constantly helping to serve, when I finished, I went into the service and my daughter was just like all over the place. So I came back home and because I was so exhausted, I just went straight to sleep. So I was looking back and I thought I had not drunk enough water the whole day. So since then, I have been constantly reminding myself to drink. And then this last Saturday, a friend of mine turned 60 years old. And so she invited me to the party. And we're just chatting about life in general. And she said to me, she has a condition that actually means when it gets hot, she has to increase the blood volume so that if she doesn't do that, she ends up being faint. So she told me, like, she usually can drink up to 5 liters of water in a day. And I was like, that's crazy. That's insane. Well, she said she can add drinks as well, but she has to take salt. So to normalize her, the level of electrolytes in her body. And so when I came out of that party, I went home and I was thinking, am I drinking enough? As a nutritionist, I always say to people, drink at least 2 liters of water or 8 glasses of water per day. I drink 2 liters most of the time. But then I started to think, could it be that my body was having heat edema because obviously I had not drunk enough. I had had a high sodium or salt meal the night before, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna try and do an experiment. So since then I started to say to myself, the minimum I'm going to drink every single day will be at least 4 liters. I can't tell you, it's hard. If you're not used to drinking such an amount of water, it feels really weird. But it has really, 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 really helped me. Like, it's been hot like the last few days, but I have no swelling at all. The edema hasn't come back yet. Well, yet hasn't come back. And I was thinking, it's simply because I needed to do what my friend has been doing, basically increasing the blood volume so that in the end it helps me rather than my body accumulating water. so that in the end, or liquids, in the end I end up with this edema. I've actually realized, for me, drinking water is not a luxury, but drinking water is something I need to be able to stay hydrated. And this was actually making me think about you guys and about myself as well. Like, most of the time, how are we hydrated? And of course, don't get me wrong, when I say hydration, I always say, for me, hydration does not necessarily mean drinking water. Hydration means being hydrated. It could be drinking. If you drink coffee, coffee is diuretic. It just means it's gonna make you more dehydrated. If you drink tea, tea can contain some tannins in it, which can have its own impact. And of course, tea can also be addictive. I'm a tea addict that I'm trying to heal away from it and come away from it. You can drink juices, but also remember, if you're drinking orange juice or just general fruit juices, they tend to have a high sugar content. And because they have a high sugar content, you'll end up, number one, with more calories, but also it can be affecting your teeth, your dental, can result in dental caries. But also, if you're diabetic, you don't really want to have a lot of sugar. And so water tends to be the best way to hydrate yourself. And so it just has made me to think, rethink this whole hydration thing, and to think about what is the really ideal amount of water that you need to drink per day to be properly hydrated. Of course, it will depend on so many things. As I said, they say ideally should be around 2 liters. But myself, 2 liters was not helping. Myself, I've aimed for that 2 liters for a very long time. But if you end up with 2 liters of water every time, and then you end up with these sausages in your fingers, that's really not I'll show you this. This is not really what you really want. You don't want to have those sausages, obviously. And because you don't want to have those sausages, maybe for somebody like me who gets really impacted by heat, 2 liters is not good enough. So I have realized, for me, at least 4 liters is the best. And so how am I doing this? I'm trying also to drink warm water, because I know if I drink a lot of cold water, even though it's good, it discourages me from drinking. But if I drink warm water, I actually find myself drinking more. And so if you're living, for example, in a cold environment or in a cold region, maybe drinking warm water, calculating how much tea you need, can be really helpful. And so today was just to remind us and to say, if you've never thought about hydration and how important hydration can be, maybe it's the time to rethink, right? For me, it was a wake up call. I thought, my goodness, that thought when you're sitting and you're thinking, what if my finger? And then you read Google and it says, well, you may find it difficult when you sleep, then the blood flow will impact you more, and then the finger might. And I was just like, I'm not having this. And the pain of cutting it, of course, I have to replace a ring, which is another thing. But honestly, somebody else needs to worry about that for me, not me. But it's just to encourage you to say, look at your hydration. Maybe sometimes, because sometimes some of us even overeat, not necessarily because we are hungry, but because what we are doing is that we are constantly, we confuse our thirst cues with hunger cues. So when you're thirsty, rather than reaching out for a hydration or a drink, you reach out for food. And maybe that sometimes can result in overeating. But when you take a minute and just think, rather than reaching out for a banana, can I maybe start by reaching out for water? But let me say something to warn you guys. Like, if you're listening to this and you say, well, Claire said we should drink 4 liters of water, there is a caveat to that, because if you're drinking too much water, you can end up with too much water in your body, which can be a problem. It's actually called hypernatremia or something like that. So where it gets to a point where you're having too much, and it can flush out the electrolytes in your body, and that can impact, because you can end up with if you have low levels of potassium and some of these minerals that can easily be leached out of the body through too much of water. Of course, you wee too much, and once you have too much, you pass out too much water or urine, then eventually it means that you will need to replace those lost electrolytes. So if you decide today to say, I'm going to drink more water, maybe I should warn you and say, don't just jump onto the bandwagon and say, Claire said she's now drinks 4 liters, so I'm going to drink 4 liters. Don't do that, because that can actually become a problem to you rather than an advantage. If you're drinking, first of all, try to increase the frequency little by little. And then secondly, try to ensure that you also replenish the lost electrolytes. And this can be done, for example, through, you may want to add electrolytes to your water. So I drink a lot of electrolytes in my water, especially in the morning. The water that I drink, or if I forget, or if I've been so busy, the last water for the day, I always ensure that I add in some electrolyte. I buy that one. I don't make my own electrolyte. But you can also just add some pinch of salt in your water, because salt as well, sodium and chloride, those sodium ions can easily be washed away when you are having lots of urination or passing so much water as a result of drinking so much water. And so if you want to replenish that by just adding a pinch of salt in your water, or if you want to try to drink other drinks as well, you may have things like broth. Broth will have some nutrients in it, you'll have minerals in it, which can also help you. You'll be hydrated, but also it will provide some more benefits to your body. So you can have broth. If you have things like orange juice, again, as I said, be careful, because you do not want to have too much sugar. You can try something like squash, because that's like you're diluting down the juice with water, really. And as long as you're hydrated, please don't get yourself into a trouble like I ended up getting myself into trouble. So I have finished talking to you guys, and just saying to you, I've never thought in my life I'll ever talk about. I've done a hydration challenge, 100 days of hydration challenge before, but I kept on sticking to trying to aim at 2 liters. I never thought in my lifetime I'll be coming to say, I can't do 2 liters. I need to do more than that. But of course, it depends on the weather. At the moment, it's so getting into summer, and hence that's why it gets more hotter. Because I don't have heat edema in the winter. My body doesn't swell in the winter. It's something that is more artificial, and it's something that is more weather driven. So if you are in a hot area, for example, you will need to think. And sometimes it's trial and error, experimenting until your body knows exactly what you want. And also, if you're drinking a lot of water, you go to the toilet more often. It may be wise to say sometimes drinking too much can actually impact the quality of your sleep if you've got to wake up so many times in the night to go to the toilet. So it is wise, if you decide to increase the level of water consumption, to try your best to ensure that you're drinking. Like now, I've already drunk around 3.5 liters during the day. I'm going to have another liter this evening, and I'll try at least by 8 or 9 p.m. to stop. Some people, a friend of mine does, I think he said 4 or 5 liters, but they stop by 7, so that in the end, by the time you're going to sleep, there's nothing as annoying. You're walking yourself, dragging yourself in your sleep, in your dreams, into the toilet in the night. That's not really ideal. And for some of us who are, at the moment, I have a little baby that sleeping through the night is not, it's like a luxury. I cannot remember the last time I've slept the whole night, because you have to wake up to feed and things like that. So anything that interferes or interrupts my sleep makes me grumpy and makes me really annoyed. And if you're like, yeah, if you watch Peppa Pig, like me, because of my children, you know, Grumpy Rabbit, he can be very grumpy. So I can't be very grumpy if I wake up to go to the toilet and I'm never able to go back to sleep. So the best thing will be, if you decide you really want to up the game of drinking more water, try to ensure that you are doing it reasonably well, so that you finish off earlier and it doesn't impact on your sleep well. So I'll stop here talking about my woes. It's been a pleasure. having some of you live. I've actually realized that my Wi-Fi has actually dropped off, so I have had my mobile data throughout my talking. So if I've been cut off in and out, because I've seen quite a few people joining and leaving, it could be because of the quality of the recording. If it is not the best quality, I would love to apologize, because I didn't realize as I was talking that my Wi-Fi, obviously, because I'm in my car, I love recording from my car. It's just easy for me that way, and it's quiet and silent. And because of that, I seem like I have dropped. I've dropped my Wi-Fi, so it might be that some of you have been dropping in and out because the quality might be an issue. But hey, for some of you who've stayed with me till the end, thank you so much. If you've not done that so already, why not just click on that like, share, or subscribe button? It may go a long way to help this sister, but also to remind me to drink my water, because, goodness me, where I've come from, I'm not going back. No more turning back. Have an amazing evening. Know that you're loved, celebrated, and appreciated. God bless you, and I'll catch up again with you in another recording very much soon. Goodbye.